Thank you for joining us for our Sharing the Light internet talk show today. And today, as always, we're joined by the senior pastor of the Sunshine Cathedral, the Reverend Dr. Durrell Watkins. And our topic focus for today is doubt as part of faith. Doubt as part of faith. So, senior pastor, how do we do this thing around doubt and part and faith? And it's kind of like three big chunks of things there.
Well, actually, people sometimes think that if they have doubts, then they don't have faith, if they're not people of faith. Faith is trust, and if you don't trust the process of asking questions, then you really don't have faith. That faith isn't just blind belief. Faith isn't just accepting what you're told, because if that were the case, then whatever you were told is what you'd be accepting. And for something to be your own, you have to explore it. You have to test it. The Apostle Paul said, test everything and keep what is good. That's what he said to the Thessalonians. Test everything and keep what is good. Well, to test is to question, is to explore, is to experiment, is to ask questions, and that means to have some doubt. What you've told me, I don't accept at face value at first. I need to test it. I need to try it on. I need to compare it to other ideas. And that I trust that there is goodness in that process, and that the process will lead me to what is true for me, whether or not it agrees with what you originally told me. That's what I believe faith is. So doubt, honest doubt, is very important to real faith. Because if I'm just believing what I've been told, if I'm just reciting the creeds or believing stories, or without questioning it, without trying it on, without working with it to see how it is that it's true for me, if I really do believe it deep down, if I don't do that, then it isn't mine. And so even if it is someone else's true and genuine faith, it isn't my faith until I've tested it. And so like Paul said, you have to test everything and then keep what is good for you. There is Hegelian dialectic, which is where you have a thesis and then the antithesis and then synthesis. That you start out with the idea, and then you compare it to the opposing idea, and then you somehow synthesize all that makes sense out of both sides of the argument. And so that's one philosophical way of coming to something that you can really believe in, sink your teeth into, own for yourself. Jesus said, seek and you will find. Well, before you find, you have to seek, you have to look, you have to ask those questions. And I think in life of faith, questions are more important than answers. That as long as you are seeking, you are going to find something that is life-giving for you. You may not find the answer, there may not even be answers. But if you, the Apostle Paul also said, we live by faith, not by sight. But we want to sometimes live by sight. We want everything mapped out. We want all the answers. These are all the answers, and you can't ask any other questions even. These are the answers, these are the rules, these are the beliefs, and we want it all mapped out. But that isn't a life of faith. Paul said we live by faith, by trust, by not knowing, and not by sight.
I want to get into one thing, because as you're talking, I'm thinking about our Sunday communion services at Sunshine Cathedral, and often, all our MCC services have communion in them. But at the very end of our liturgy for communion, when you extend the invitation, you use this phrase.
Here at the Sunshine Cathedral, we practice an open communion, and what that means is you don't have to be a member of this church or any church to receive the sacrament. Just as you are, with whatever your beliefs or doubts may be, you are welcome to participate in this feast of unconditional love.
Say more about that communion if you can't remember, that invitation around that whole doubt. It's not about telling someone what to believe.
Because communion for us isn't the gatekeeper to keep people away. Sometimes communion has been used, you have to be a member of our church, or you have to believe what we believe about it to receive it. And so it's this sort of thing to keep people away, or to keep them in line, or to keep them sort of all believing the same things, and that's not how we use it. We use communion as an open invitation. It is a symbolic meal, and everyone is invited to the table. It's not about what you believe. And in fact, if you're on a journey of faith, what you believe when you are 50 may look very different than what you believe when you're 60. Well, you still should be able to commune with the community for that whole decade, even as you're on your journey of faith. And so for us, it is a feast. It's not just a memorial of Jesus. It's not just a conduit of grace, if that's what some people believe it is. It's primarily for us a love feast, a feast. Jesus spent time in table fellowship with all kinds of people that his society said he shouldn't be spending any time with, much less sitting down to meals with. And so we use that model, that we have this symbolic feast all kinds of people. You don't have to be a Christian. You certainly don't have to be a member of MCC. You don't have to be a member of this MCC. You just have to say, I want to be part of this community in this moment. I want to sit down at this table with these people in this moment. And that's really all that you have to, you just have to be willing to be open to whatever the experience has for you. Now, if that leads you to some sort of profound experience, all the better. But it's for us mostly not to keep people away, but to invite everyone in. This is an open communion. You don't have to be a member of this church or any church. You're welcome regardless of what your beliefs or doubts may be.
So doubt as part of faith really is like this big exploration almost, and like we get to explore in our doubt, what is our doubt, but also link that to our faith, and hopefully that will give us seed to continue to grow.
Well, let's think about the Apostle Thomas, often called Doubting Thomas. And that's because when there's a story in the Gospel of John, Jesus has been executed. It's a few days later. The apostles are in hiding except for Thomas. He's out and about doing whatever it is. He's collecting food or earning money, or he's doing whatever it is that has to be done for them to continue to survive while everyone else is hiding. While they're in hiding, the other apostles say they have had an experience of Jesus, that somehow he continues to live, and they've seen him, they've experienced him. Thomas comes back, they tell him the story, he doesn't believe it. He hasn't had that experience, and so he doesn't believe it. And so since he says, I'll believe it when I see it, you say you see it, fine, I'll believe it when I see it, and then he has his own experience. And so that's why he's called Doubting Thomas. Earlier, though, in the same gospel, when Jesus hears that Lazarus is very ill, and he wants to go to see him, and the other apostles, the same ones who were scared and hiding, say to him, don't do that. Like if you go to see him, there are people who are out to get you, and they may kill you. And Thomas is the one who says, then let us go with him so that we can die with him. Thomas is the courageous one. Thomas is the one that's willing to die, to take chances. He's the one who's out and about and everyone else is hiding. He's the one that says, if it's dangerous for Jesus to go somewhere, let's go with him. Because he has doubts, he also has profound trust, that his doubts leads to real faith, to real courage, that Doubting Thomas is the one who trusts Jesus' message enough to die for it. He's the one who trusts himself enough to be out and about, risking life and limb so that his small community can survive when they're all in hiding. That Doubting Thomas is actually the person who shows in those stories the most profound faith. And so Thomas is actually an example of how I'll trust my experience more than your story. Your story can lead me into my own experience, but I will trust my experience more than your story. And that trust leads to profound courage and profound faith. And so I think Thomas is a wonderful example about how true doubt leads to profound faith.
Wow. So doubt is a part of faith. Anything else on that topic today?
That's a lot. I guess we'll leave it at that.
All right. And we want to thank you for joining us for this segment of Sharing the Light as we have talked about doubt as a part of faith. Thank you for joining us for another great episode of Sharing the Light. Tell your friends about this online ministry, and when you're in Southeast Florida, make sure you worship with us on a Sunday at the 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. or the 6 p.m. service. And now for a final word from our senior pastor, the Reverend Dr. Durrell Watkins.
Email me at Durrell@sunshinecathedral.net if you have a religious question or if you'd like to subscribe to our daily devotional magazine, Spirit and Truth. We'll send it anywhere in the United States for an annual donation of any size. You can also email us prayer requests, or you can make donations on our website, www.sunshinecathedral.org. You'll also want to check out our great performing arts series, religious education classes, conferences, and other exciting activities. For now, we wish you many blessings on your spiritual journey.